Okay, well, welcome everyone to November CE2. This is actually the last one we do in 2021. So really excited about our speakers wrapping up the year. We take off in December. So I think a couple of new faces on here and then some of you guys back. Always love having you. This is an event we love for those of you guys that are here for the first time, the way it is structured. My name, by the way, is Hope McCutcheon. Coming at you from Charlottesville. But the way it's structured is we have initially an early stage speaker. So someone with a company in its early stages that shares about the company, but then they even ask for the audience. And so that's an opportunity to participate, to help them solve a barrier to growth and help them go to the next level. It's great networking and exposure for their business as well. And then after that, we have a more seasoned entrepreneur, usually a 15, 20-year plus entrepreneur that shares their crash and learn stories. So the things that you don't normally get to hear are the water cooler type stories. And with them, we'll open it up for Q&A afterwards. And then we do some announcements and you announce events or if your company's hiring. And then finally, we have breakout rooms. And that's an opportunity to go talk to one of the speakers. We have 2 different rooms for them. And it kind of simulates an in-person environment where you can go up and speak, chat with the speaker afterwards. And then we're done at 10. So this event is put on by a couple of organizations. CIC, the Community Investment Collaborative, is one of them, great organization, as well as the SBDC, the Small Business Development Center, doing a lot of great things here in town. And then CBIC, Charlottesville Business Innovation Council. And then we are sponsored by the Batten Institute over at UVA. And so to get started, we can jump in and introduce our first speaker. I am excited about. So, and bad on me, I didn't ask how to properly pronounce your last name. Cynthia?
Kankeu.
Kankeu, thank you. So Cynthia Kankeu is actually originally from Cameroon and got all of her education in Belgium. So her bachelor's, master's, and her PhD. And she actually came to the States for a job at UVA. She did some postdoc work there after graduating. And she actually launched her business about a year ago in the midst of a pandemic. Her company, she's going to tell you more about it. It's a hair products. And she has a 3-year-old, by the way. So she's growing the business while being a mom and is, get this, what I was really excited about. She's full-time in business for the last year. So this is what she does. She was able to leave her work at UVA and really focus on this business. And so you can find her at the farmer's market, and she's going to ask you about other ways to grow. And so I'm going to go ahead and give the floor to Cynthia.
Hey, everybody. So I am Cynthia Kankeu. I studied biomedical sciences in Belgium, and I started manufacturing hair products when I was still doing my PhD. And I was selling my products. It was more like word of mouth and my friends and all that. So it was more like a hobby because I didn't have money to really launch a business. And then when I graduated, I got a job at UVA and I moved here. And I was able to save for about a year and to properly launch the business. So I manufacture hair products geared towards people struggling with dry, dull, or brittle hair. I have shampoo bars, conditioners, creams, gels, and I'm really focusing on using less synthetic ingredients. I use only 2 synthetic, average is just 2 synthetic ingredients. The preservative and the emulsifier that allows me to mix water and oil in my products. And that's it. And it's mostly like natural. The rest of the ingredients are mostly natural ingredients. So yeah, I have been doing it now officially for about a year. And I've been selling the products mostly at farmers market. I have a website, but I haven't been seeing really traffic on my website. So most of my revenues have been generated actually through farmers market, and I was really happy with that at first because, I was like, well, it's the first step, but now I'm feeling like it's just wearing me out. I've hired some people working with me at different market as well, but it's good, but it's just unreliable because if the weather is not good or if for some reasons people are just traveling away or something, you know, I'm not going to have that revenue. So it's kind of a little bit stressful. So I was thinking that I think that now is the right time for me to try to expand my online store. But it requires money as well to do like Facebook ads and Google ads. I wanted to have some input from you guys, like, you know, what did you use actually to make sure that you were expanding your online store? Did you hire a professional? Are they running Facebook campaigns for you? Are they doing Google ads? And what is the budget that you guys are putting in? Or if you're not doing that, what are, you know, the avenues that you're using right now to really expand your business and increase your sales, especially that Black Friday is coming and the, you know, the holiday season is coming. So yeah, that's the first question that I have. Thank you. Hope we can hear you.
You're muted.
Sorry, thank you. Did you guys, I guess before answering, did you have any questions about her products or what she's doing, or because she will have more time, Cynthia, and it's okay that you didn't, but are you guys pretty clear on what she's doing, and any questions about what she's doing so far?
Cynthia, can you speak a little bit more about who's your market?
Mhm.
Mainly, is it mainly women, or do you also target to men? And who do you see the most buying your products?
Oh, you're on mute now.
So I mostly target women. And it's really funny that you're asking that, because the problem that I've had at first at the market is that I had a banners with 3 Black women, one white woman, and 1 Indian woman. But then at the market, there are mostly white people. And then all the white people thought it was only for Black people. So at first I was having that issues actually, where people coming to me were only people with curly hair. because some people, a lot of white women curly hair actually already uses people geared towards Black women. So they were really comfortable coming to me, but then I was losing all those other customers because I have one specific line for curly hair, but I have also another line for people struggling just with dry, dull, or brittle hair in general. Whether you're a man, a female, a kid, you know. So I was losing all those other customers. So what I ended up doing was just to remove all the pictures and just leaving just pictures of the products, you know, and really focusing on to saying that my products are organic and really focusing onto the products. And these really made a huge difference.
Interesting.
Yeah, in terms of traffic, in terms of people coming to the market. But then to answer your questions, I mostly sell to women and to white women, actually, with curly hair. This will be the top. And then I have some Black women, and then I have then some white women with straight hair. Yeah.
When I went to your website, Cynthia, it was clear to me that you marketed, that it was targeted towards the hair type. I thought, by the way, when I looked at it, it said brittle, dry, etc. So I think you did a good job of changing that.
Thank you.
I was wondering
Yeah.
too. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just wondering too if you knew what age range in general your market is as well.
Yeah, I'll say 28 and above.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hi, Cynthia. I'm Allison.
Hey.
I get to go after you, which I always love being the second speaker. It's better. So good for you for going first. First of all, I'm excited to know you. And so we should definitely find time after this to chat. I think I've heard about you at the farmer's market. And then I've also, even though I'm rarely going to go to the farmer's market because I'd rather be sleeping on Saturday morning. Anyone with me on this? Yes? No?
Well, that's what I told her earlier. I was like, I don't make it.
I mean, I have people who buy for me at the farmer's market, right? Like, I'm like, you know, the lady with the shiitake mushrooms is going to be there. If you could grab me some, I'd appreciate it. But I think you've got some interesting opportunities to figure out where you want to tell your story. So when I looked on your website, I thought the words very much made it clear that it was from multiple markets. The pictures made me want to call all my Black girlfriends and be like, did you guys know we have a local person helping people on the journey for natural. I do a lot of work in justice, diversity, and equity stuff. And so I initially saw the pictures and thought the journey was for Black and brown folks more. I know from those friends that curly-haired white women are going to benefit as well. But I think if you want to go online, you've got some work to do to tell the story in words and pictures. And it's an interest, and I don't know the answer because it's an interesting question about which market you want to be and can you speak to everyone? But I think that's, asking yourself, what have you learned at the farmer's market that you need to translate into your website? And are you free today at 12 o'clock?
Yeah.
Want to come with me to the Minority Business Alliance at the Chamber of Commerce? I'm the speaker.
Oh, yeah, I'm actually already a member there.
Sweet. Well, anyway, I'm the speaker on how to prevent business burnout, and you should come meet everyone. We'll all be masked. It's going to be great. It's part of the Chamber of Commerce.
I didn't see that email coming, actually. I must have missed it.
Who can keep up with the emails, friends, right? So anyway, just so you know, like we haven't really had any meetings in the same ways, but today is actually an in-person meeting, and I'd love to introduce you to everybody if you haven't.
Okay.
So anyway.
Awesome. Thank you.
For me.
Can I, one of the things that I was thinking about when you were talking, Cynthia, is my hairstylist, sells hair products, and she cannot get one of the things that we always have used. It's called taffy. I don't know. I think it's from Kenra or something. But I know that the supply chain issue is a major problem for a lot of people, but she has been trying for months to get the specific product, can't find it anywhere. And so I wonder if local stylists would be a market that you could, and that would be a repeat client. So, you're not working so hard to feed that pipeline because you've already got some established businesses that are buying into what you're doing and believe in what you're doing. And so it's just a thought, but also I was wondering, oh gosh, yeah. And the other thing I was wondering is, like, what's your price point comparatively to like grocery store versus professional? Like, where are you in that spectrum?
So average price is like $17. Compared to grocery stores, it's expensive, but compared to other people manufacturing organic and handmade products, it's not. It's this range exactly. I compete with the other competitors. Yeah. And it's definitely on my list to talk to hair salon owners. That's what I have been trying to do last week, but I was sick. So I'm planning to go to Richmond as well, and I'm trying to get into retail stores. I've talked to Rebecca's, Integral Yoga, and Whole Foods.
I mean, my gosh, everybody on this call probably has a stylist. That maybe the men don't have such a specific one. I don't know. Craig, do you? I know, it's awesome. You got that full head of hair. But there might be, each one of us might be able to make an introduction. I mean, I've been seeing my stylist for 12, 14 years, something like that. So I'm happy to make an introduction. And I'm in the CIC class, and there's a stylist who owns her own salon in my group. And there's also someone who's starting an online, natural, locally made business, like an online store. And she would be a great person for you to talk to as well.
Okay, I'll send you an email after then. Thank you so much.
I was going to say, I'm going to send you my email address so that we can connect.
Cynthia, one kind of, I guess, comment. So on your website, I noticed that on your homepage, you divide hair types into porosity, which I'm familiar with. I'll admit, I have curly hair. I know it doesn't look curly now, but it is curly. It's like 3A. And I myself still don't really feel like I understand porosity. So one thing with your website that might be helpful is either, like, I know sometimes they'll have sort of like quizzes to figure out what kind of porosity you have, or an explanation.
I have a video explaining on the homepage.
Yeah, you do. You do.
And I was going to put the quiz, but it was expensive actually. It's like the developer said that I have to pay like a monthly fee of $50 just to keep the, you know. So I was like, okay, I might do it later on when I have more money. But yeah, it's totally a great idea. Mhm.
Yeah. So getting more folks familiar with like, how do you figure out, you know, where I fall? But you do have in your menu item, you know, you have a different way of categorizing the products, which I think is helpful. So I guess my comment is that it's nice to have different ways that people can sort of figure out which products are right for them. So yeah.
Thank you.
One question I have, another question, I guess, is, how often do you look at the web traffic? Are you able to see, is your problem more that you need to retain the visitors to your website and get them to make purchases? Or is it that you're just not getting traffic to your website?
So I wasn't getting any traffic, like organically, I wasn't getting any traffic, like maybe 10 people per day. So I've just hired a team of people, Facebook ad experts and Google ad experts. So they're working on that right now. We're able to have traffic right now, and we're also seeing some conversion. But I guess my question was from you, like for you guys, like, did you hire people? Like, do you have any expert that you've been working with, you know, on Facebook ad and Google ad, and also how much you spend, how much are you investing?
Cynthia, let
I
me,
just sent you a message with someone.
let me make a suggestion. I'm Diane Arnold. I'm with the Central Virginia Small Business Development Center. Thursday of this week, we have a workshop that's free. If you, it's online, you could look it up. It's called Launch Your Product with Confidence. And the gentleman who's teaching that comes out of the corporate world and launched a lot of products. And we've snagged him to do this workshop. I think there'll be some real helpful hints about the steps that you need to take as a business to do that. And it's absolutely free. You can also check with their office. We have on staff a couple of marketing people, consultants, that are very familiar with your problem, what you want to do. And with the CVS-BDC, our services are free. They're paid for by taxes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Thank you.
Can anyone give our insight into what different methods you've utilized, how much you've paid, if you want to disclose that, or what different avenues you've pursued on the paid route, or any advice on things she should look out for, or anything like that?
So I can't speak as much to this as probably other people. So I'm working for the CIC right now. I used to run a business, which is no longer active, but so I stopped after 1.5 years, so it was pretty new, but I took advantage of the free advertising on Instagram once, and that automatically got me a lot of traffic to my website. And then I know that for me, and probably for many other people, it's really encouraging when you go to a website and a coupon pops up. It's like, oh, 15% off your first order. And so I think that could be a good combination. If you end up paying a little bit for advertising, you could start small, see what kind of traffic you get, and then see if you might be able to get some orders just from that coupon. And I know that's hard as a new small business, but it's something that I wish that I had done. At first, I was like, I can't afford to do that. But now looking back at it, I think that would have really helped me.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
I think the coupon idea is great for first orders. It also gets them on your email list, because typically you have to sign up to get the coupon. You have to submit your email, and then there's a disclosure that they're there on the email list. So that actually.
And I have it.
Okay.
On the website. Yeah. Thank you.
I don't really have insight for advertising a product like an online store, more on like advertising a service. But I can tell you, from a consumer standpoint, I'm extremely susceptible to Instagram ads. And I feel like Instagram, I don't know. I think that's what I think of when I think of like ads for like beauty products and things like that. So, as opposed to, I'm not on Facebook as much. So just wanted to say that, yeah, if I saw it in Instagram, I'd probably click on it. So.
Thank you.
Cynthia, it might be that the problem, or part of the problem can be in the fact of your overall marketing, that there is a little bit of not a well understanding of who you're marketing it to. That's why people are not going to the website, or because I follow you on Instagram and I see the ads, and I know you. That's why I go on your website and look at the products. But maybe other folks are not catching that you're targeting to a broad market, not just to specifically women or just men or specific types of hair. So I think it might be not the overall message that your brand is giving. I don't know, I just thought about it because I've seen you a lot on Instagram, and like I think you're doing well on that end there. It might be, it's a bit confusing probably for some folks.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, video testimonies. I think I saw that you had reviews on there, but maybe a couple of testimonies from different types of people.
Yeah, and I post all that on Instagram because the other problem that I've had is that at the farmers market, it's not a problem because I was able to really have like a genuine relationship with most of my customers, and they always give me feedback in person, And then it's just really difficult for me to send them on the website because it's just like, we like coming to the farmers market and we know that we're going to get the products at the farmers market. But some of the people working with me have been able to record videos from some of the people. But that's also another issue. It's like, I've had so many customers in 6 months, but you don't see all those reviews on the website. They were sending me emails, they were sending me private messages, they were just talking to me, but it's not reflecting on the website. And also they're not going on the website. So I'm not even able to retarget them. The only one who will go on the website is maybe if they come to the market and they didn't see we were not there, So
could you give like a 50% off thank you for someone that gives you a testimony?
Yes, I can definitely do that. But I really feel like money is not a problem because I've advertised that a lot. Like, leave a review with a picture and you have this discount. Leave this and you have this. It looks like people, I don't know, it feels like they're not really interested in having any discount, or because I've talked to a woman last weekend and she was like, yeah, we're still using your products. I'm going to get more. I really like it. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to leave a review. And I was like, do you want me to take a video of you just saying all the things that you have been saying right now? And she was like, no, I don't really want it. But don't worry, this time I'll go and leave a review. And she still hasn't, And I felt like the people who are using my products, they're really supportive and they really want to support me. And I think that they just forget. It's just one step, extra for them to go on the website just to leave a review. But on the other hand,
can people leave a review like on paper at the farmer's market and then you get it on the website? It may not be in the review section. It might be in a different like quotes section if you're the one inputting it, and then you put their name, like you might do like Allison L.
Good idea.
Well, the other thing is, what I would do is create a testimonials section on your website so part of it is that a lot of people don't want to leave reviews because people are moving away from wanting there to be that trail of them on the interwebs. I would tell them that unless they do a variety of other things, that trail will be there no matter what. But that's neither here nor there. So when I was at a stage where I needed those kind of testimonials, I just very carefully picked the people that I could clearly say it would help me if you would be willing to do this, and this is how I will use it, and would you be comfortable with that? And
by
so
when?
and by when? Yes. Hi, Tracy.
Hi, sweet love.
I told her, Hope was like, I don't know if Tracy's coming. I was like, I'm pretty sure she'll come, if nothing else, to see
I
new
gotta
Joey.
see my Allison.
Well, and to see new Joey. I brought new Joey. Yeah, exactly, just for you. So part of it, Cynthia, is getting comfortable. And I didn't ask everyone for help, but I asked targeted people. And then I also gave them the option to say yes or no, and to comfortably feel like no was fine. that I totally understood. Like when I wanted to meet with people, I would say, might you have time in the next couple of months? When would it be convenient for you if I reached out again? As opposed to the sheer number of people who would, send emails and be like, can you get coffee next week? And it's like, no. Like that. And then you feel like the jerk who can't, because you don't have availability like you did at one stage in your career. So just people want to help, but they do much better. It's kind of like when I help trailing spouses find jobs in Charlottesville, they'll say to me, well, I'll do anything. And I'm like, for real, anything? Like any job, I can put you in any job. And they're like, well, you know what I mean? Like anything. I'm like, no, you gotta narrow it for me so that I can then go to people and say this or that. People actually do better. And I think that's your biggest challenge coming up, is that I can only imagine when you're selling a product like yours that you feel like you've just got to move and do. And here come the holidays, right? And the bravery that you've shown to do this during a pandemic and then come out of a pandemic into whatever all of this is, you are to be commended. I can't imagine it really, but I think you might be coming up on a point where you may need to pause and say, okay, I'm going to do this and not that. Yeah. I'm going to try these 3 things. I mean, you're a scientist, so like I'm going to pull these 3 levers as an experiment, but I'm not going to pull these 3 so I can see what these 3 do for me.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Totally agree with that. Yeah. And also what I've been doing now, because I was saying that people were not really comfortable leaving reviews, but they were sending me their pictures. So I was like, so I created on the website a gallery, of pictures of, customers as well.
Yeah.
And I've been asking them, are you comfortable with me copy pasting what you just said here and putting it, on the website? And that's what I've been trying to do as well. But, I've been doing it, but at the same time, I'm not really comfortable because I'm like, it's true, I've copy pasted, but if, let's say one day, somebody just take my ID, like IP ID or something, and they'll be like, she was writing fake reviews when it's not true because, anyway, but yeah.
I don't think you have to worry about that. I could be wrong, but I did that same thing on my website. If somebody emailed me like, how's it going? I recruit. So how's the new job? They're like, oh my God, thank you so much. This was, you helped me XYZ. And then I say, can I put that on my website? And you have that email permission. So you're good.
Okay.
Well, so Cynthia is going to be in a breakout room after. For more ideas, please go over there and join her. And Cynthia, if you want to throw your email address or whatever contact information in the chat, people can also get a hold of you that way. And we are going to go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Definitely. You did awesome. And you got some new customers, I think, off of this. So, all right. So next, I would love to introduce our Crash and Learn speaker. As you can see, she's very engaging. We appreciate, Allison, your participation as well, and really excited to hear from you. But a little bit about Allison. I thought this was pretty fun. Her parents met on a blind date, and 6 months later were married. And Allison was born after that. So they met here in
My
Charlottesville.
parents like to remind everyone that they just had their 50th anniversary and I just turned 49. That math is important to them. So it doesn't really matter to me, but
not 51.
They turned 50 in September and I turned 49 2 weeks ago is important to them. So I'll add that.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. And that they've been married 50 years on top of that is awesome. So, and I guess they met here in Charlottesville. And so that's kind of the roots, but you didn't grow up here. You grew up, I guess they moved to North Carolina after that. But would come here, visit throughout childhood and whatnot. And then when Allison went to college, she's actually double who. She went to UVA, both undergrad, and she went to Darden. And so she's really been in Charlottesville since then. And she'll talk about her time here. That's what her journey is. But after school, she worked for Accenture for several years as in the human performance service line, and then started her company. And so she has had Allison Partners for what, like 18 years or more? 21. Okay.
21 and a half.
Pardon. So over 20 years. Over 20 years, she has had her own company, working in human performance theory combined with business strategy. So she basically helps organizations in a lot of different capacities and a lot of different industries, from being nonprofits to healthcare to you name it, just a variety of companies. And so she's making a big impact here in Charlottesville. She's also very involved in the community. She was the Chamber's Small Business Person of the Year, and also serves as chair of the board of the UVA's School of Continuing and Professional Studies. So I'm really excited to hear about your entrepreneurial journey, Allison. So I will give you the floor.
Thank you. It is a pleasure to be with you all and see several faces that I know. And I think Tracy's been here from the beginning, right? Can you remember can you remember when and how we met?
Oh my gosh.
I know, right?
I think it was through the Charlottesville Venture Group and BPTC, you know, somehow we did a joint event, or I came to a CPG event, or you came to BPTC event. Yeah.
But I think it was like in year 1 or year 2. So it's funny, they were like, is Tracy gonna be here? I was like, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
If nothing else, just say, I was telling the early participants. So I started Allison Partners. Hi, I'm Allison, by the way. Nice to meet you all. I started Allison Partners this summer in between my first and second year at Darden. And I got a dog because that was my father's, I needed a loan to start the business. This was back before Darden really liked incubator things very much, or venture people, or they were sort of like,
they didn't know what that was all about.
Yeah, they were like, I don't know. I mean, we think it's a good idea. Yes. So,
hi, Joey.
So I got my first dog, Joey, when Allison Partners started, because my dad was like, I'm not going to give you a loan if you don't sleep in every day and get a dog. And I was like, these are fair terms. And he's like, and then regular 5% interest balloon payment on whatever payment schedule. By the way, if my father gives you a loan, you can pay like $7.47 if you want. I mean, you just have to write out your plan and adjust your payment terms every year. So I got a dog. That dog's name was Joey. Joey lived to be 17, which is longer than most Cocker Spaniels usually make it. Tracy was fond of that dog. She calls this dog Henry, who's been here 4 years. Tracy calls him New Joey. New Joey.
That's where the 17 came from, Allison. That's why that was in my mind.
That's right. That's right. Are you New Joey? He's like, yeah, I am. He's like, I'm also the most well-behaved Zoom animal on the planet, because that's how we live now. Okay. So I am going to give you all some version of the kind of, I love that this is the kind of, what am I, the crash and learn? Because my favorite talks 20, 21 years ago were the people who talked about the things nobody seemed to talk about, the wild failures, the stumbles, and those kind of things. So I'm going to share some of those stories. I'm going to try to do it succinctly, and then I'm also, along the way, Tracy may remember some things that I forget. So from the viewpoint that she's had. So part of the reason I had Hope talk about my parents is that's an important part of the story. So not only am I close to my parents also do what I do, or I do what they do, depending on how you look at it. And they are now part-time employees of mine. And so that explains, I think, in many ways, how I got into a space that tends to be populated by people much further along in their careers. Now, I'm finally further along in my career, because if 49 is not a grown-up, I mean, right? Like at 49, you can officially declare that you're old enough to do the work. But believe it or not, that was a part of my story in the early days, because when I came out of Darden, I was 49, 28 and doing some executive coaching. Who thought that was a good idea, right? Well, fortunately, a few people in Charlottesville did. And so it's important to understand your origin story and what it does and doesn't allow you to do. So mine is that both of my parents did coaching before anybody called it that. They did a lot of the facilitation, the executive education that I do. So Allison Partners, the way to think about us is we are an organizational development consultancy. So what that means is we have a variety of tools that we use to help people deal with the messy, complicated, wonderful people stuff that happens at work or in a nonprofit, whatever kind of work you do in your life, however you try to spend your life. Some of my earliest clients were people who were trying to retire. So they were actually retiring out of their standard work and into their next career. So really, however you want to spend your days, we try to help people with that at Allison Partners, whether it's one of my first clients, which was Scarpa, the shoe store down, in Barracks Road, all the way to now our largest client is Mars, the candy bar company that you're probably familiar with. But they make so much more than candy. Did you know this? Uncle Ben's rice. In Africa, they make one of the most important stew bases that are a part of many African countries' staple of meals, pet food. So they're incredible because they are. It's hard to know because they're private, but most people will say third largest privately held company in the United States. They are not on the stock exchange. So like from shoe stores to individual clients to large multinational company and everything in between. And part of how we've done that has been that I actually started very slow. When I graduated from Darden, they asked me, I thought I was also going to get a PhD. So I had started a PhD after Darden, and they asked me what I thought I would make my first year out of Darden. And I was like, I think that I am going to make $32,000. And Darden was like, oh, for the quarter? And I was like, no, for the year. Like, I was so proud of myself because I'd like read all the business cases that said that usually you're at a loss your first year, right? And Darden was like, why don't we just put down you're in graduate school and that way you won't drag down the number. And I was like, okay. They feel differently about it now, but I didn't blame them because they didn't understand. And that's a good example of I went slow and I also made choices that were aligned with my values, whether or not they were necessarily aligned with the voices I was hearing around me. So back up, all throughout my childhood, I'd watched my parents do executive education, coaching, facilitation. The first strategic plan I ever helped facilitate in Charlottesville. I remember they were like, you facilitate strategic planning, right? And I was like, and I never wanted to lie. Do you know what I mean? Like, but I was like, I'm familiar with a lot of the tools. Right. So, but what that was always code for was hang up the phone, call my dad. And I was like, can I facilitate a strategic plan? He was like, I mean, I do them all the time and you're better than I am. So yeah, get a pencil. Like those are a lot of how my story started. And I did not bite off more than I could chew because I knew that my capability had to catch up with people's sense of me, if that makes sense. And so I really tried to help everyone.
You might be giving me your old ones to put in your stocking so that you have something to open.
I think we need you on mute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I thought I was.
No worries. But as someone who spends her life on Zoom, I'm the human who will tell you. Because why? You would want to know.
It's important.
I know, right? It's important. Okay. So back up to that. That's a big part of it, is that I knew what my capabilities were, but I also understood when people doubted them and didn't get particularly anxious about that and let people catch up. Tracy, were you going to add something?
Yeah, can you say that again? Because it was brilliantly said. You said, don't bite off more than you can chew. And then you said something about your sensibilities. Like people had to catch up.
Letting my capability, oh God, I hope I know what I said. Letting my capability catch up with people's sensibilities about me.
Yes, got it.
So like a lot of people thought what I was doing was ridiculous. And I was never mad at them for it. I would just be like, okay, well, you're not the right person for right now. Let me go over here and let's see if this person, and so I paced myself. And again, a big part of my Charlottesville story is that I had so much connection here. So not only did I have my parents, but when I was at UVA as an undergraduate, I was chosen as the student member of the Board of Visitors, which who knew when that happened at like 21, that was going to matter, that I would ever sit on a Zoom and tell people that, but it's Charlottesville, right? So like my first business mentor, other than my family, was Leonard Sandridge, and Leonard was the vice president of the university. And, I still love passing by his road. I like to text him and be like, you got a road, man. He's like, are you driving? I'm like, no, Siri, talk to text. It's no, really. And I've always been kind of that goofy a little bit and sort of sincerely thrilled about people's success and trying to help them, but also not help them more than I could take care of myself, if that makes sense, to not get overextended. So a lot of why what I did worked was I was doing it in a pond where people knew me since I was 18. So when I started at 28, for that population, I was older and more seasoned. And so they were willing to take a risk on me. And I didn't rush the other people who weren't ahead of their comfort zone with my capability. And I know these are kind of, I don't know if these apply to all businesses, but they're the kind of things that people rarely talk about. So I figure you'd rather hear that than this traditional stuff. Am I going in the right direction for you all in terms of information?
Absolutely.
Okay. So I came up with a general business plan and a concept of what I wanted to do and got clear. And one of my favorite strategy professors taught at Darden that strategy is the essence of no. So he was, even though he was very broad-minded and appreciative in his thinking, he really believed that the most successful businesses, from the smallest ones to the biggest ones, very comfortably said what they would not do. And maybe had one or two things they were willing to do because they thought they had to for a period of time. So Tracy remembers the years where I would help with business plan writing. Folks, if you ever hear that I'm working on a business plan right now for anyone else or myself, like my business plan is like on this page of the notebook, you know something's gone terribly wrong, okay? But I did it quite well, right, Tracy? For well enough, I guess.
You got your name out there, got you connected to people.
Got me out, got me to the right people. But I made sure that at the point at which I could have taken 10 more of those clients, that I didn't. And then there was a weird gap there where I could have had all that business and money, or I could have created space for what I really wanted to do next. And so each of the times that I had those pivot points, I paused and was comfortable in the strange place of not having work and not having money. Now, this brings me to incredible privilege, right? The privilege of being young, of not having children. You know, my goal was to have enough peanut butter for sandwiches, dog food, and if I was really living large, a bottle of red wine for the weekend. I mean, these were good times. And so in the early years, there was a frugality on my part. And then also, if I got into trouble, support from my parents, if I needed it. And so I think it's important to name privilege like that, and how that helped me. But I also, so I didn't have my first office was in my apartment. My second office was this office when I finally could buy a house. And I didn't open our first office. Where were we, Tracy? Allied Street, right? Yeah, behind Seville Coffee. I think that was only like by year, Lord, is this
7
old?
or 8?
Yeah, 8. So you're 8 of the business. So I just say all that to say that my story is actually having done it very slowly, which is kind of my jam anyway. Like as energetic and extroverted as I can be in some ways, I'm actually also okay with kind of going slowly and methodically through a lot of different things. And so what's most important about that for you is not that you do it my way, but that you know what your way is. Spend time figuring out what will work for you and what won't, and on what order you can do it. So the other really important thing is, in addition to all of these supporters I had in Charlottesville, and family who both taught me how to do the work and were there for me if I, couldn't pay the rent for 1 month, I also have always been really good at building relationships and connecting with people. And so by my second year at Darden, I had met that with she who is the most important part of my business, Rachel Brzezinski, who's the vice president of my company and my business partner, and interestingly, my best friend. Not everyone in Charlottesville knows that. We don't hide it, but having grown up in a family who did this kind of work, I wasn't afraid of family and friends as business, but we practice what we preach in terms of setting really clear expectations with one another, giving each other feedback. So if you're thinking about going into business with friends or family, totally can work, but really a good idea to figure out how to have those conversations early in the relationship, and to set expectations, which is what I do. I help clients with that when they're building businesses, starting family businesses. I've helped to, thank you, Robin. I've helped a lot of businesses in Charlottesville end. I don't talk about those much because, well, small town, right? And so I've helped businesses divorce from each other. And a lot of what they didn't do in the beginning was talk about clear expectations and not make assumptions. So that's an important part of it. But by the time I'd met Rachel, I had realized, I thought, that's what I want in terms of my business. The most, and this is, I always have to remember these are taped, but anyway, she's not going to watch. Truly, I think the most gifted person that's ever come out of the history of Darden. I've had this conversation with a few people, professors at Darden, and they are kind of like, I'll give you that. When I told them, so when I met Rachel, Rachel was a graphic designer. She designed the original logo of my company. All of our look and feel, everything that we do is based on what she recommends. She supported me behind the scenes for the first 6 years of the business. When she renamed the company, so I had named the company Leading Strategic Change. Rachel was like, could I work on that for you? And I was like, sure. And she was like, I was like, what, can we trade something? And she was like, yeah, will you organize 3 dinner parties for me? I want to cook. Rachel's a cook. She's like, I want to cook for everyone, all of my friends at Darden, but I don't want to have to do the inviting them or asking them or assuming. And I was like, definitely. And she was like, and then I'll build you a brochure in the beginning of your content and collateral for a website. I was like, and I plan 3 parties. Yes. You know that story, right, Tracy? Like, yeah. So we started that way. And again, that would be an example of where we didn't pay each other anything, but we traded services, but we were clear about our expectations. So those are, I hope you're kind of picking up the nuggets here. And so when Rachel presented the Allison Partners logo to me, and just so you know, Rachel had designed like the 1996 Winter Olympics logo. So putting my, yeah, I know, little nuggets, you never knew. So putting my logo in her hands was not, you know, it wasn't a big, I think she probably made the bigger leap in letting me plan the parties. And I looked at it and I was like, so do you want a business card that says Allison Partners on it? And she was like, well, yeah. I mean, she's like, anybody with the vision of what you have, people will know it's about you, but they'll also know that you don't, I'm like really confident, but not very egocentric, if that makes any sense. So like I walk through the world pretty assertively, but when I say that Rachel's twice as good as I am, there's no false modesty in that, or for her, that's not false modesty. She just is. And I'm really good. Don't get me wrong. She's just that good. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, and she was like, sure, because in Rachel's mind, she was like, there's no way I'm ever going to be in a small business venture. Like she was on her way to go work at BCG, Bain, McKinsey. But I stated that intent and I spent 6 years working toward it, understanding what her expectations were, knowing what I would need to do behaviorally to make that relationship work, which I'm the one who has to do a little bit of modifying in terms of how I communicate and what I do, saving money. So people say, what was your strategic plan? It was to hire Rachel. And then that was 15 years ago. Wow. And we knew that expectations that mattered for us was that it was not going to be a 1099. So unlike a lot of small boutique consulting firms that are cobbled together groups of 1099s, I've had only full-time employees from the beginning. And part of that is that we're HR consultants. And so following the law is like just wickedly important to us. I'm not saying the people who put together 1099s are doing it wrong, although be careful. If you're out there building stuff, more and more 1099 arrangements are being examined, and you need to make sure you talk to somebody about that. So I have a lot of 1099 contractors that we work with, but they are truly contract-based and not employees, don't have benefits, but we can show both. So long story short, and I'm gonna wrap this part up so Tracy can tell me what I missed. It was incredibly important to me to not be alone. It mattered to me more than money or anything else. I wanted to have meaningful partnership and support and help with the things that I was not good at. And I sacrificed everything else to get it. And that was clarity that really mattered to me. It worked for me. clarity of the work that we do. So Rachel reports to me, I mean, sort of, because I own 100% of the company. That's another thing for you to know. People would say, well, I mean, anyone who knows really about us knows A, who runs the company, Rachel, B, who's most important. And by the way, y'all, this is not me being like, I'm telling you, everything that we have is built on her capability to help us build and grow in the way that we need to, and to do everything right, and to be strategic. And I knew I didn't have some of those capabilities, so I hired the talent. So whether it's one person for you who's important, or a whole series of employees, or the right accountant, the right lawyer, know what you need and then set it up appropriately, and don't try to have your cake and eat it too. And so if Rachel had wanted equity, I would have given her equity. But for us, her having a higher salary and benefits and bonus was more aligned with what was important to her, and also kept our relationship such that one of our goals was that we could always stay best friends, even if Allison Partners with her didn't work out. And so we had that as a core value from the beginning. Lest you think it's all been, you know, roses and merriment, 2009, right? Financial meltdown. I'm like going along, doing great. 9 years in, things are good. We have our first office because Rachel's gotten tired of sitting at that desk. Like for a year, Rachel was like, this is not good. I was like, okay. She's like, we need an office. I was like, great. How do we do that? So not only did the kind of financial crisis happen, we also had some big federal government contracts that had nothing to do with the financial crisis that just changed and shifted fast. We were diversified, and we all of a sudden went from everything being okay to things being pretty bad for a period of time. And again, our core values of talking with each other, setting expectations, talking about what we could and couldn't do. You know, if I had fired Rachel at that point, I would have then immediately gone back to a six-figure income all by myself. So that's sort of the nature of a services business. But that wasn't my goal, right? That wasn't my vision. And so how to get through that with Rachel intact. And I have a ton of people who helped me along the way, who analyzed things. One of my current clients was a friend from Darden. And so this is where, for me, relationships is where it all comes down. I remember he came, I asked him to look at everything objectively. And he was like, I think you're 6 months away from turning the corner. Don't give up yet, because Rachel's the linchpin. By the way, I did this for like 30 Darden women, and like they came off the Zoom, and one of them was like, does it worry you that your entire world is this based on one person? And I was like, fair question. Don't worry, I have $1 million life insurance policy on her. So
that was one of my questions.
So if anything went badly, let's hope it doesn't come to that, right? But we have we have key man and policies on each other that would allow the other one to close out the business, and then also have financially what they needed to move forward. And we have incredible talent that works for Rachel. Now, we all work together. We're small. Right now, we're 4 full-time people and like 6 part-time folks in and out. We could be twice as big as that right now, except that we don't feel like we could take it on, because COVID was actually, in the end, incredibly good for us, in terms of, mostly because we pivoted to virtual comfortably. And like, I mean, between us, you know, Hope was like, well, some speakers don't want to be virtual. And I was like, yeah, I don't really, I can do either one, whatever you want, however you want, hybrid, in a room. Like for me, that was one of the big things that we knew we had to get that right, or there would be no way through COVID and no way through whatever is coming next. And quite honestly, not to be dark, I work in healthcare. I coach a lot of physicians. The next pandemic, friends, saddle up.
Yeah.
Sorry. Okay, last thing. So Rachel and I got through that time very carefully by talking with one another, resetting expectations. I got some help from my parents, but I also learned this that I bet no one has ever told you. Ready? Guess who the best banker in the world is? Some people have been on this talk, have heard me before. Robin might know. The IRS. What? Now you have to be honest about it, but like proactively talking with the IRS about if you're struggling to pay taxes or employment taxes, and having them put you on a payment plan is actually 100% legal, folks. And if you struggle to pay your taxes, they'll come for you anyway. So like it goes either way. But there was a period of time, I mean, I still remember when Virginia National Bank finally gave me my line of credit when I no longer really needed it. I mean, I need it. God knows I'm glad to have it. It helped me to get through. But it was in those years when I had to use credit cards and the IRS to get through some incredibly difficult times and be comfortable with that level of risk, which I was, because the husband and children I'd hoped for had not arrived yet. They still haven't arrived, but we're holding out hope for the husband. You know, probably the kids thing. I help raise everybody else's kids, but if you know the husband, call me. But I could live with that risk, okay? Because like I was not trying to help other people. So do you hear sort of the values, knowing what I could and couldn't do, then making that choice and staying in that space? That's kind of the measure in all of that. So yeah, I think that's mostly the big stuff. Tracy, what have I missed?
Oh my gosh, that was so good.
Was it the right amount of time, Hope?
Yeah, that's perfect. Actually, we have time for Q&A still, so we could let the audience take it in a direction. Yeah, go ahead, Tracy.
Can you talk about, so full disclosure, I've been a client of Allison Partners, and Allison and I were friends. And so when I sat down and said, you know, I really want to use Allison Partners, I would love for you to be my executive coach. She said, you know what? I have an idea. We're so close. I think it'd be better for you to work with my partner, Rachel Brzezinski. And I can earnestly say that everything Allison says about Rachel is true. She's brilliant. She's quiet. She's thoughtful. She's extremely strategic, insightful, and kind. So one of the questions I have is about your Chinese wall, because I was disclosing very personal information to my executive coach, and Allison and Rachel were best friends and business partners. Can you talk a little bit about your Chinese wall?
Yes, so we're really just, first of all, we make sure everyone knows, like if you were to see a client list of mine, many of my clients in town are enemies of one another. And so, I mean, that's a little harsh, but it's a small town. Do you know what I mean? And so generally speaking, like what Tracy just did was disclose. If you're a client of mine, everywhere I would go, you're my friend. And if you choose to share the relationship, then that's up to you. I do a lot of work with the government. And so a lot of that work is public. But like when I coached Chief Longo, not good for dates, friends. Like I'd be on a date and Timmy would come over and be like, oh, you're having a date with my coach. And I'm like, Chief of Police, move along. I'm kidding. You think I'm kidding, but it's not entirely untrue. So Timmy would be public, like the work that I do when I'm facilitating stuff around what are we going to do about public housing. 400 people are at that meeting sometimes. So, you know, I've worked in a bunch of different things, but generally sharing what we do is up to the person we do it with. And then those folks learn pretty quickly the nature of how we work together, and that we do not talk about stuff. If we need to talk to each other about how to support that person, and we don't think it's appropriate to talk about details, then we talk anonymously. But we live in a massive NDA between us. And I would say the majority of my clients will be like, are you going to tell, you should tell Rachel this, because they would like me to get Rachel's input. So we're pretty upfront about it. And I often want on some certain things that I just don't have as much capability as Rachel does. I will say to people, I'd like to get Rachel's input. Can I do that? So the main thing is that we're just like everything else we do, we're really upfront about stuff. And then there are times where I make judgment calls about things I may need to say to her that are in order to support each other. But we live a life. I had a friend once who was like, I feel like we never really get to see you have more than a few drinks in Charlottesville. I'm like, because I'm not the girl anyone in Charlottesville wants to see drunk. I mean, in any given room, you have no idea how many people have told me they're about to get divorced, or, you know, they're thinking about starting a business or closing a business. And it just goes better if people experience me judiciously in every room that I'm in. And so I'm cautious about that. So carefully.
Thank you, Allison.
Tracy, can you think of anything else? one other thing I do know is that like diversify your business points, but not too far past what you can do. So like, for example, we made a huge movement to get into government work, which everyone said was going to be a mess, but not if you can do the RFPs correctly. And so, you know, that's been a hugely important part of our development over the years, but we followed the rules. We didn't try to like not do the sheer number of times I've won government work because other people couldn't follow the instructions on an RFP is I don't even know how to tell you. Or like doing business with the city. I went to like this thing where you like learned how to do business with the city, and the procurement officer was like, you know, anybody can meet with us. And so like I scheduled a meeting with her, and she was like, yeah, there were like 250 people who attended, and you're the only one who scheduled the meeting with me. And I'm like, well, didn't you say, you know? And so, you know, listen and follow through on the things that people offer you. So I'm gonna stop. Other questions?
Yeah,
Hi,
let's
Robin.
open. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm going to take you off of Spotlight. But yeah, opening up the floor. So did Robin have a question?
I did. So two things. I love that your reminder. First of all, I wanted to say I love your reminder that you should use the IRS and your government resourse to your advantage because
yeah, I'm totally good. I paid it all off. I just want we're good now.
Well, I appreciate that. And I was talking with a young entrepreneur the other day, and I said, you know, they actually really want your money and they want to work with you to get your money. And so go talk to them because they're actually like, I had a good experience, you know, working with and figuring out like what I needed to do. So anyway, just wanted to reiterate that. And thank you for that.
Know I tell everyone this.
Yeah, it's so important.
Like, it's not a secret. I mean, and again, it's not a good long-term plan, friends.
No.
And it wasn't my plan like to begin with. It's just everything crashed down around me, and I wanted to keep Rachel and going on a payment plan, and their insurance, I mean, their interest rates are so low, but they want you to win, and nobody tells anybody that, like, because they want your money.
Exactly. Well, that's exactly right. So so the sooner you speak to them was my point to this person.
Yeah.
Like the sooner you speak to them, the better off you both would be. I'm curious, especially working so closely with your best friend, but also just in general, when you've talked about making some decisions that kind of changed the course that you were taking or took some risks on. I'm curious if you could speak a little bit more about how you, I collected the data or what the benchmarks were for coming to those decision points in the business.
Yeah, for me, it almost always starts with, what do I want? And sitting with that question, what do I want? What of what I want, what would be the consequences if I went this way or that way? What does Rachel want? What do we want? What do my clients need of the ones that I have? So always thinking with my current client base in mind, what clients do I want next? So, one of the things that we really believe in and we try to help people with is concept that we have way more choices than we give ourselves. Lots and lots of choices. And remember, like my talk at the Minority Business Alliance today is going to be on how to prevent burnout. So a lot of my work is also on quality of life and balance. And so, I'll choose more sleep over more money every day because it has really served me well over my life. And so I know that. And then I don't then wonder why I didn't have more money. So when I make a choice, I don't then go back and be like, what happened? You know what I mean? Like I try to remember. And one of the ways, and that I make it sound so easy, it's not easy, but have some accountability partners that can help you remember the choices you made, right? And so that you don't revisit those choices and torture yourself with them. Does that make sense? Do you know what I mean? Like people all the time will try to remind me a lot of information here. Do I really want, they'll try to, like, I wanted children, right? But I didn't want one without a daddy because mine is really important to me. For anybody who knows me, by the way, if you go to my blog post, we blog every other week. Last week's blog post was the We Won the World Series blog post for any of my friends out there. So I'm a Braves fan. It took 26 years since I graduated from UVA. And the blog post is all about what my family shares around baseball, but also how to manage anxiety. And sort of because one of our best pitchers managed anxiety. Where I'm going with this is I knew for sure I didn't want children without a father. And so that was important to me. The sheer number of people who would continually remind me that I didn't need a father to have them. Thank you. I'm familiar with all the science, the fertility, all of it. Like, I mean, I'll still have people who ask me, do you regret that you didn't freeze eggs? No, I'm good. Thank you. But appreciate your support. It's a very intimate example, but I'm always willing to share those. The point being, I don't now wonder, I don't berate myself for having not made different choices because I didn't want children without a father. And I admire the heck out of all of our friends, and Tracy and I share many of them in common who've done it alone, either on purpose or because that's how life worked out. But it wouldn't have been good for me to start that way. And I know that sounds, you know, Robin, whether it's as personal a decision as that or a business decision, I really try hard to remember why I made the choice and support the choice in my own heart and how I talk to myself along the way. The other thing is I teach this for a living and I really do practice it. I'm just pretty encouraging and self-compassionate. And so a lot of what I'll talk about in 3 hours at the Chamber of Commerce is people are pretty nasty to themselves, and small business owners and entrepreneurs are at the folks, like the stuff you say to yourself, you wouldn't say to your worst enemy. And I don't see how it's helping anyone achieve what they wanted to. So really be thoughtful about that internal narrative and how it may be hurting you more than helping you. Other question? Yeah.
Yeah, we probably have time for one more.
I know I have one for Diane, if she doesn't mind coming. Hi, Diane. I'll bring you off mute.
Thank you.
Hello. I send people to you all the time, so it's lovely to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
I would be curious to know from your standpoint, if there's anything you heard me say that worries you for business owners that might interpret something I said in a way that might not apply to them if they're not a lifestyle business or something like that.
No, I was more impressed with something you said that is so important and it's so often overlooked, and that is making those decisions about your lifestyle, including your family, and having time for yourself, because most people come in and they think they can do it all, and it's all about choices, as you know. You have to know yourself. That's the one thing I stress in our startup classes, that the individual or individual starting a business, that's the underpinnings of the business, the cornerstone, the foundation, and everything else is window dressing. It's you.
Yeah. And it's hard to hold to that because Tracy and I, but okay, good. I just want to make sure there wasn't anything I said that worried you from the more professional side of the house.
You know yourself well, and that takes a lot of thought and effort. Most people don't want to put that energy into that.
And remember, folks, part of the reason I do that is actually what I do for a living. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not saying most entrepreneurs would necessarily have this much of that. It just happens to be this part of our service area.
Yeah. But a lot of the startups that we get, they are people who have a specific set of skills. They've worked for someone else and now they want to start their own shop or practice or whatever. And so they're, they just want to go do.
Right. Thank you. And you remind me. So
just get started. I want to do it now without thinking about it.
Yeah. Really knowing your weaknesses.
Yeah, I've enjoyed your.
Thank you. Really knowing your weaknesses, not beating yourself up from them, but being able to name them and then come up with strategies to support them if there are weaknesses that get in your way.
Right. That's what we teach.
Yeah. Okay, good.
All right. We teach that.
Good. I thought of the other thing is also choose the voices that you listen to. Okay. And so I get a lot of advice, but I'm also careful about who I choose. And I'm just having Tracy here helps me remember a lot of stories. There was an advisor to me who continually talked about how I needed to be ready to have an exit strategy. Like people ask Rachel and me all the time, so we went from $32,000 my first year to, and we work for the government, so all this is publicly available, to, I think I don't know right now because I don't keep up with it, but somewhere over $1 million in revenue, which is a nice little lifestyle business. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but with the way I pay salary, it's not necessarily, but it really works for us. We're really happy. People will tell me all the time, your office is too fancy. And I'm like, not for us. Do you know what I mean? Like, it works for our space, and it's, across the street from Rachel's house. And, it works for us. But people will get in your head and want to say things, and God bless the PPP loans, folks.
Yeah.
We got 2 of them. It would have been an entirely different experience. Had that not happened.
Yeah.
But we'd also learned our lessons, and we were ready to rumble. Like, my loan was into Virginia National Bank like on April 4th, on the first time. So I felt for all the small businesses who wouldn't know how to do that. We were so old in our trajectory, but people ask us all the time what our exit strategy is. And Rachel and I say it's when we don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And the sheer number of people who try to tell me that it's bad, that I'm not creating something that I can sell. I mean, my niece, and nephews might want to take it over. My godsons I have some people who might want to keep it as a family thing. But
Sure.
the day Rachel and we have other consultants who do what we do. It's not just the 2 of us.
Knowing your exit strategy is really more about a venture versus a lifestyle-based business. So,
but people try to tell me the other thing is, so like my 2 largest clients right now are private equity and real estate investment funds. And people will say to me, well, wouldn't it be great if you had a piece of that, right? Like, maybe you should do fees plus a percentage of that. I would never do that, because the day that I have anything invested in your future outcome as a client is the day that you can't be absolutely certain I would walk away.
Yeah, that's intense conflict of interest.
It's an intense, but people still recommend it all the time. They even offer it. I'm like, no. That's why my fees are high enough to take care of what we need. And then people be like, well, you're not creating any wealth. And I'm like, well, I create it in other ways. So anyway, just get advice, but then choose the people that you're going to listen to.
Absolutely.
And focus there. Diane, were you going to add one other thing?
Yeah, I wanted to say that you gave a great bit of wisdom there about the government contracts. I ran a defense-funded procurement technical assistance center in West Virginia for many, many years, and worked with thousands of little businesses doing contracts. I said I ran a Department of Defense funded procurement technical assistance center for years. And you're right, people don't read the instructions. They always want to change it to suit them. And if you read the instructions and you follow them to the letter, you have a shot at getting one of those contracts.
Right. Well, you're often 2 of the firms who agreed to do that.
Yeah.
And so everyone else gets thrown out, and they just follow the 2 rule followers.
Yeah, and it might be the margins on the when you send your documents in. They tell you the font to use and the margins. They're picky, but if you follow them, you're responsible.
Right.
Or
any
what they
other
say.
Questions? I know we need to go to breakout, right? But
Thank
are there
you.
any other questions?
Do you have one?
Yeah.
Allison, how do we make it to your talk in 3 hours? I'm not a chamber member.
Oh, be my guest. I put the link in there. Try to register right now. Did I put it in the chat, or did I just?
Yep, you did.
Yeah, put it in the chat and try registering, and put in the note that Allison Linney wanted you to be her guest.
Can you put it in the chat again? Because if people join after that link was sent, we can't see it.
Oh yeah, that's an unfortunate chat. Okay, here it comes. So yes, I mean, boy,
and
you're really
Allison, thank you so much for speaking today. In light of the fact that you have 2 speaking events in one day, we really appreciate it. You have completely blessed us. And even in this 25 minutes, 30 minutes, it's clear why you're so successful in your business and what you do. So we got a little taste of the value that you bring to your clients. So,
and by the way, one of my colleagues is on, who I send people to all the time, Clay. Hi, Clay. feel like I haven't seen you in a million years. But Clay and her dad, you want to come off mute for a second, Clay?
Hi.
Clay is also Clay and her dad work together. And so when Clay came into town, we started learning about her business. I remember Rachel was like, she's a daddy's girl too. I was like, so Clay and I do similar things, which is good. We need more of us in town.
It's always nice to be able to have somebody to refer business to too, when you can't take on a client or they're not ideal for you, or you know, whatever the circumstances.
And Clay is a longtime supporter of Ce-2. She's been coming since we were in person, which was like 2 years ago now. So yeah.
Yeah, the iLab, which is gone now too. So
yeah.
We outlived the iLab.
Yeah. So let's transition into announcements and breakout rooms so you can still chat with Cynthia and Allison more. As I said earlier, we are exploring this to be in person in January. We are not meeting in December. So if you show up here, you'll be the only one in December, but we'll be back in January. And if we are in person, we would also do hybrid. So we would still have the Zoom opportunity, and we'd love to have you guys come back and bring your friends. But let's do announcements. I mentioned earlier our different partners. Let's start with Carolina. So our announcements are upcoming events, or if your company is hiring. Specifically, that's what we announced. So Carolina, if you'd like to talk about CIC first.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thank you so much to Cynthia and to Allison for great speakers today. Learned so much from both of you. And I want to start by introducing Hannah Deal. She's the new CIC operations coordinator, so newest member of the Community Investment Collaborative. And she will be with us for hopefully many, many years. And you'll be seeing her at Ce-2 more, every Thursday, or every third Thursday of the month, Tuesday rather.
Tuesday. Awesome. Welcome, Hannah.
And I wanted to, let's see, announcements. We are currently accepting applications for the CIC workshop. So if you know of anybody who needs assistance starting a business or growing the business, and that you think that the CIC workshop is a good fit for them, send them our way. And I'll put the link on the chat because applications are open now and they close on January 7th. And the other announcement is that we have Resource Fair coming up, and that's an event that is we're bringing back again because we didn't have it during the pandemic months, the outbreak of the pandemic. So it's back in person. We are excited to have it. Unfortunately, we haven't had a huge responses in the past, and I guess it's understandable. Folks are still a little bit worried about in-person events, but we're taking the necessary measurements to to make sure everyone's safe and in the room and spacing. So I think some of you, I think Mary Kay Campbell, she's participating, but I wanted to extend that to Cynthia Kankeu. If I think you will benefit a lot from it on the marketing side. We still have marketing spots available. I'll send you the link directly, but if you guys know of anybody else who can benefit from Resource Fair, it's free consultations with professionals in different areas like marketing, accounting, HR, and business attorneys and insurance. So those are my two announcements for today. And,
awesome. And if you want to put any links in the chat, Carolina, go ahead and do that. Awesome. Thank you. And then let's have Diane with SBDC.
Right, we have several events coming up also today at 10, which means right after this, we have a workshop on evaluating your visuals on social media. That one, all of these workshops are free. Tomorrow it's QuickBook Tips, and that one is at 11 o'clock. And then on Thursday, we have Launch Your Product with Confidence, and that one starts from at 10 o'clock. So. And don't forget, when you're out working or when you meet small businesses that are trying to promote their business only with Facebook, or they have a website that's not very effective, please refer them to us. We've got the grant money, and we've got a whole team that's building professional websites. They do a beautiful job. It's called Project Jumpstart. It's on our website, and we'd love to have some more people.
And they're free.
They're free. Yes, they get it's a 4 or 5 page website, professionally done, and they will help you understand it, how to use it, and how to expand it when you need to. And then, of course, Ellen helps you tie your payment system in if you need it. So it's a darn good program. I mean, more people need to take advantage. And thank you for giving me time to share that with everybody.
Thank you, Diane. What about Craig or Tracy for CBIC?
Yeah, I have some things to announce. First of all, if everybody has not heard of, or if there's anybody on the call who hasn't heard of the hub, cva.org, make sure that you take some time to go there at thehubcva.org. I'll put it in the chat. It's the business front door for the business ecosystem. So it's an online portal that enables you to promote your business. So you yourself individually can add your business if it's not already there. There are more than 1,750 businesses already on the hub. Flesh it out with your logo, with your profile information about your business, all your social handles and so forth. Tag yourself as what kind of business you are, and then individually create your own user profile. Tell us who you are. Tell us what your expertise is and your skills are. Tell us what you're looking for, because that database of individuals is searchable. And the idea and the concept is when anybody needs something, when the pandemic started, you couldn't just go to the events that we were producing on a regular basis, those monthly CE2 events and those monthly Tech on Tap events and so forth. But the online community is, would make it, we created it to be the community that you can count on online 24/7 without having to go to an event and not knowing who to contact first. So it's searchable. There's all kinds of ways that you can use it. Please make sure you're active and using that as a resource. CBIC built it with a grant from Go Virginia and a lot of dedication from CBIC, the Charlottesville Business Innovation Council. And speaking of which, we make all the announcements that you've heard here today in our newsletter and via socials. So if you're not on CBIC's newsletter, be sure to go to cvilleinnovation.org and sign up for our regular newsletter. And then lastly, we have a large annual awards gala where we spotlight and feature and shine the good light on individuals, organizations, companies, startups, businesses, teachers, student entrepreneurs, etc. Every year, the CBIC Awards Gala. And this year we had to, 2 years ago when pandemic hit, we pivoted and we did a beautiful online version of our gala. It was fantastic. But this year we were going to do it in person. Because of the Delta variant, we ended up punting it. So our new gala date is 2022. Cross your fingers that things go the right trajectory with the pandemic, and we'll be able to do this in person as we plan from May 26th, Thursday, May 26th. Allison, you ask every year what the date is. I'm happy to say that we now know. Of course, we might have to pivot again.
I put it on there yesterday, whenever it came out.
Yeah, exactly, Sunday. And that's at Castle Hill Cider. We're not selling tickets yet, but do put it on your calendar as Allison just did. The following day is something we're going to call the wrap party. So it's a different version of celebration where we'll be downtown, we'll be meeting with innovators, we'll have music, we'll have dancing if we can, and all those fun things on Friday, May 27th. That'll be in downtown. So those 2 days will be important for celebrating entrepreneurship and startups in our community and innovation.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I saw Jason Brewster on here. He's not here anymore. So anyone?
I think Craig may have something.
Yeah. Did I look like it? Did I look like it?
I love that.
I'm glad you're here, Tracy, because I've been here just wondering still if I need a stylist the whole time. So, but I did want to say one other thing. In piggybacking on the gala, each year we do give out awards to companies in the region and to amplify what they do and their accomplishments and things like that. And so we ask for nominations from the public. I'm going to put a link in the chat. If you could go and nominate anyone that you think is appropriate for any of the categories there, that would be terrific, because over the next several months, we will be going through a judging process so that by the time we come to the gala, we'll be able to give those awards. So I'm going to put that I just put it in the chat. Look at that.
Beautiful. Nice of that.
So please go and nominate anybody you think is deserving.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. I don't think we have anyone here from the Batten Institute, but I'll pause for a second and see. Okay. The Batten Institute is a sponsor, which we really appreciate what they do. They manage the CE2 website, among other things, coffee when we're in person. But anyone else hiring or have any announcements of upcoming events? So the floor is open.
I know that the SBDC is looking for a client services coordinator. Man, I should know more about this since we are partners.
I think we posted that job on the Hub CVA because we have a jobs board, so people can go to the hubcva.org and search for jobs.
Right, exactly. So, but yeah, if I just thought of them, I should know more about the description, but I actually don't. I could probably put the link to it too.
Awesome. All right, well, let's go ahead and go to the breakout rooms.